Good morning, everyone. Today I am going to talk about a new topic, that is chronic pelvic pain and endometriosis. So, chronic pelvic pain is a condition which is seen in about 1% of adult female population. It is defined as a presence of pain in lower abdomen or the pelvis for a duration of 6 months or more, and it is not associated particularly with menstruation or pregnancy, malignancy or sexual intercourse, and it can be intermittent or continuous. There are various causes of chronic pelvic pain which can be divided as gynecological and non-gynecological, and it can also be divided as acute pain and chronic pain. So the causes of acute pain related to gynecology are endometriosis, adenomyosis, degeneration of fibroid, ovarian cyst complications, ovarian cyst rupture, tubo-ovarian abscess. There can be gastrointestinal causes which include appendicitis, diverticulitis, gastroenteritis, perirectal abscess, mesenteric vein thrombosis. Then there are urological causes like urinary tract infection, cystitis, pyelonephritis, urinary stones, that is calculi. Then there are other causes like dissecting aneurysm. It can be malingering, it can be sickle cell crisis, or it can be porphyria or diabetic ketoacidosis. In pregnancy, it can be because of corpus luteal hematoma or corpus luteal cyst, or it can present because of miscarriage, ectopic pregnancy, ovarian vein thrombosis, which is a rare cause. And then there are other causes in adolescence like transverse vaginal septum or imperforate hymen, and they can present with retention of urine, acute abdominal pain and distension because of hematometra and hematocolpos. Now let us discuss the causes of chronic pelvic pain. The most important causes are endometriosis and adenomyosis, which comprise the majority of gynecological causes of pelvic pain. The other causes are irritable bowel syndrome, interstitial cystitis, adhesions, then nerve entrapment, rheumatoid arthritis, migraine. Let us discuss one by one all these causes. Mainly they present with dysmenorrhea. Dysmenorrhea can be primary dysmenorrhea or secondary dysmenorrhea. Primary dysmenorrhea, it arises from the onset of menarche and it is not associated with any pathological cause. And secondary dysmenorrhea, it is associated with some pathology and it is not present since menarche. The second cause symptom is the dyspareunia, which means there is pain during sexual intercourse. It can be superficial or it can be deep. The superficial causes are sexually shared infections, genital ulcers, infections, vulvovaginitis, then vulvodynia or vestibulodynia, and vaginismus. The deep dyspareunia is mostly because of endometriosis. Now let us discuss endometriosis. So this is a condition where there is presence of endometrium outside the uterine cavity and associated with chronic inflammatory reaction. It is seen in 10 to 20% of women of reproductive age. The common symptoms are dysmenorrhea, dyspareunia, dyschezia, chronic pelvic pain. There can be cyclical symptoms related to bladder and bowel, which are related to menstruation. It can present with ovarian metasmers, that is ovulation pain. Then there can be chronic fatigue or malaise as well. So on examination, it can be completely normal examination. So it does not mean that she does not have endometriosis. So depending on her symptoms, we have to go further to rule out the presence of endometriosis. So on examination, there are per abdominal tenderness, then per vaginal examination and per rectal examination, if possible, it can show presence of fixed retroverted uterus, or tender or nodular uterosacral ligaments, or there can be a tender adnexal mass which is suggestive of endometrioma, or sometimes on per speculum examination we can find some cervical or vaginal nodules or palpable rectal nodules. So we have to suspect endometriosis in any woman who is 17 years or above and presents with the symptoms like chronic pelvic pain, dysmenorrhea, dyspareunia, dysphagia, infertility with one of these factors, then the symptoms of bladder and bowel which are coinciding with the menstruation and there is blood in the urine, or pain while passing urine, or gastrointestinal symptoms. And we have to assess the woman in details regarding her detailed history, the nature of pain, any radiation is there, or any aggravating relieving factors are there, then her fertility desire, the previous medications, and her social psychological history is also needed, because we have to be aware that it's a complex condition and we have to give her a long term management, and we have to give a multidisciplinary mode of treatment so that her complex needs will be taken care of. So when a woman comes with endometriosis, after the history we'll do the per abdominal examination, per vaginal examination, and we have to maintain a pain diary as well for 2 to 3 months to know the nature of the pain. Regarding the investigations, we have to go for the transvaginal ultrasound, and if not possible then transabdominal ultrasound. Pelvic MRI is not used for the diagnosis of endometriosis. CA-125 is not used for the diagnosis of endometriosis. Pelvic MRI is used when we suspect that she is having deep infiltrating endometriosis. Then the gold standard for the diagnosis is laparoscopy. So we have to tell her what laparoscopy includes. It requires anesthesia. It can be done by a general gynecologist, but if there is a deep infiltrating endometriosis, then we have to just see and come out, and we have to take the help of a specialist like urosurgeon and colorectal surgeon, because some additional surgeries will be needed. Now about the treatment part. In endometriosis, we have to give the medical management which is in the form of paracetamol or non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, and we have to give a cyclical treatment, or as and when required she can take it for 3 months, and if it is not helpful then we can give her hormonal treatment. The hormonal treatment includes combined oral contraceptive pills which she has to take daily, one pill at bedtime for 21 days, and then she will get her cycles. So it can be given sequentially, or continuous hormone therapy can be given. The second is just progesterone only pills like medroxyprogesterone acetate. This will help to regress the endometriotic implants, and it will help her symptomatically to reduce the pain and the amount of bleeding. But if she has a desire for fertility, then we cannot give her hormonal therapy. So if anything is not working, then the next step is the GnRH analogs. The other methods are gestrinone, danazol, which is of no use, and Mirena can be considered if she wants contraceptive as well, because it will help to regress the dysmenorrhea, regress the bleeding, as well as act as a contraceptive method. If she has a desire for fertility, then we have to straight away go for laparoscopy. In laparoscopy, we can do the excision or ablation of the implants. If there is endometrioma, then we have to do the excision. So the ovarian cystectomy is the method of choice. In this, we have to tell her the impact of surgery because it will help to reduce her symptoms of pain, heavy bleeding. It will help to increase the chances of getting pregnant as well. But in case the ovary is too much involved in the cyst, then there can be an impact on the ovarian reserve. So all these aspects should be discussed with her. Follow up should be maintained if she has endometrioma more than 1 centimeter in size. Now if she does not desire fertility, all the methods have failed, so we are referring her to the specialist endometriosis clinic, and she is going for laparoscopy. And in this case we have to give her ablation, excision of the implants, the peritoneal implants. Ovarian cystectomy is the choice, and if there is deep infiltrating endometriosis, then we have to give her GnRH analogs 3 months before pre-operatively, and this is known as adjuvant treatment. And after the surgery we have to give her hormones, which is in the form of combined oral contraceptive pills or Mirena, which is given for 18 to 24 months. So it is said that it is associated with secondary prevention of endometriosis. If the lady has completed her family, then we have to counsel her about the hysterectomy as well. So hysterectomy should not be done alone. It should be done as a hysterectomy with salpingo-oophorectomy, because the problem is with the ovaries. At the time of surgery, we have to do the excision of all the implants plus hysterectomy, and the HRT which we give generally after hysterectomy, the hormone replacement therapy we give is just the estrogen replacement therapy, but in this case we have to give estrogen plus progesterone, because it will cause again activation of the remnant disease. So this is only one condition where we do the hysterectomy for endometriosis, and we give HRT in the form of combined estrogen progesterone therapy. So this is all about chronic pelvic pain. So if you like the content of the channel, please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you.